forms of the equation. There's slope-intercept, which is what you just did. There's standard form.
Did we do that?
And there's point-slope form. Those are the three different types. Alright? So, what do they look like? General form is y equals mx plus b. That's the one we just talked about. That's what slope-intercept form looks like. Thank you for the support. ax plus by equals c is standard form. Now, there's two stipulations here. Okay? We don't want fractions. Okay, decimal, same thing. Okay? And a has to be positive. We don't want a to be negative. Okay? A must be positive. So if you have to move it to the other side to keep it positive, you move everything. And point slope form is y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. The x1 and the y1 are the actual point in the point slope form. So what? Alright, so write slope intercept form of the equation of each line. So right now it's in standard form. We want to change it. This is kind of like what I showed you in the previous notes. How I could, instead of doing that cover-up method, I could change it to slope intercept. So that's what we're going to do now. Which is nothing different than what we've already done. We're trying to solve for y. Well, to do that, we're going to subtract 2x. So we want to get this bad boy over there. Now, when you do that, you cannot combine 12 minus 2x. That is not 10x, negative 10x, 12x, negative 12x. They are not compatible. You literally just write them one after the other. So we have negative 3y is left over here. Now, we talked about this earlier. You could write 12 minus 2x. Okay, that's allowed. But when we're graphing lines, this is what I said yesterday. When you're graphing lines, you always want to put the x first. So it's negative 2x plus 12. That way your m and b are always in the right order. Okay? It's not like it's wrong to write 12 minus 2x. It's just the form mx plus b. And then, last step, we divide everything by negative 3. So that gives me y equals, only you got to pay attention to here is that it's positive, because negative divided by negative is positive. 2/3 x minus 4. And there's my y-intercept of negative 4 and my slope of 2/3. Number 2, same thing. What do we move? No. We're going to move the x. We're going to subtract x. Again, we cannot combine the x and the 18, so we just write 6y equals negative x plus 18. We just write one after the other. And now we're going to divide by 6, correct. Which gives me y equals negative 1/6, because there's a 1 up here, x plus 3. So that means I begin at 3 if I was graphing this, and I would either go down 1, right 6, or up 1, left 6, depending on where I put the negative, top or bottom. Standard form just means go backwards. In other words, I want all my letters on the left side and numbers on the right side. So, knowing that, what am I going to move? The negative 4x. I'm going to do that by adding 4x. 4x plus y equals 7. I'm done. X and y are on the left side. I don't have a fraction or a negative number in front of the x. I'm good to go. Okay, what do I need to move? The y. The y, I could move the y, but I want the x and y on the same side. So what should I move? What? Divide by 4. There's not even a 4 there. I'm on number 4. We're done with this one. On number 4. We could have 5, but we want the x and the y on the same side. We're not adding 1/3, we're going to subtract 1/3 x. Now what it's going to give me is negative 1/3 x plus y equals negative 5. Is that okay? Okay, good point. They are both on the left side. So let's look at the top of your notes on the second line.
It must be positive.
Good. And what else? No fractions. So we got to make that negative 1/3 positive and no fraction. So what can we multiply by first to get rid of the fraction?
3.
Right, so we're multiplying by 3.
-3.
Very good. 3 will help us get rid of the 1/3. Negative will help us get rid of the negative. So negative 3 by everything will get rid of both. So that's going to give me a positive x minus 3y equals positive 15. You want to put 1 in front of the x? That's fine. Or you can just leave it x. So that's just working back and forth. Okay, it's kind of like factoring and then FOILing. It's just undoing each other. So standard form to slope-intercept form, slope-intercept to standard form. It's just a big circle of math. Write the point slope form, okay? This one I highly suggest you write out the equation first, just to remember where everything goes. The m is clearly going to go here. This 2 is going to go here in x1, and this y is going to go here. This negative 3 is going to go there. Not the x and the y without the letter numbers. It's the x and the y with the numbers. This is where the numbers do count. So y minus negative 3 equals 4 times x minus 2. Okay, and this is really plus 3, right? Now, we did this, right? We wrote point slope form. But now it says, then put into slope intercept. Okay, so this is 1. We did the first task. Now we got to go one more step further. We got to multiply by 4. Y plus 3 equals 4x minus 8. And how do we get y by itself?
How'd you get -2?
I get minus 2 because it's x minus x. So x minus 2. This is my x. This is my y.
Sorry. I had it as 3.
That's fine. The negative 3 goes here, but that's the y.
Yeah.
So how do I get y by itself? Subtract 3. So that gives me y equals 4x minus 11. So that's the second form. So first we had point slope form, then we turn it into slope intercept. Let's do that one more time. Y minus y equals m x minus 10. Okay, so that is, and then we just make this plus, right? That's point slope form. Y plus 3 equals negative 2/5 x minus 10. Now we need to turn it into slope intercept. So we're going to distribute that. Y plus 3 equals negative 2/5 x. What's negative times negative? What's 2 times 10? Divide by 5? 4. Last step, how do we get y by itself? Subtract 3. Y equals negative 2/5 x minus 1. Okay. It says write the slope-intercept form. Well, just like we just did, we got to do point slope first. Okay? Don't go chasing waterfalls. Okay. So to do slope-intercept form, we need a slope. We don't have a slope yet. So, m equals 1 minus 2 over 4 minus 2. That's negative 1/2. There's my slope. Now, the way to do this is what we just did. We're going to do point slope form, then slope intercept. So you get to choose which point we use. 4, 1 or 2, 2. I'm going to pick 2, 2 because I know I'm going to be multiplying minus 1/2. So it's a little bit easier. So y minus 2 equals negative 1/2 x minus 2. Distribute the 1/2, good. Y minus 2 equals negative 1/2 x plus 1, right? Because negative times negative is positive, and half of 2 is 1. No, we're not going to subtract 2. We're going to add the 2. So that's negative 1/2 x plus 3. There's your slope-intercept form. We're going to skip 8 because really 5, 6, 7, and 8 are all the same. The only difference is here you had to find the slope first. But once you find the slope, 8 and 7 are just like 5 and 6. Okay, parallel and perpendicular lines. Parallel lines look like something like that. And the slopes are equal or the same. They have the exact same slope. So if you look above you right now at the lights, the steel pieces of metal, okay, that are holding up the tiles are parallel. If they weren't parallel, the ceiling tiles would be falling on our heads. Because as it went across the room, they would get further and further apart and eventually fall. But since they are going the exact same distance from each other, the tiles are held in place. That's what parallel lines mean. If these were not parallel, eventually one would get further away and they would fall. Train tracks. If those train tracks are not exactly like whatever, things like 3.5 feet apart, if one is a little bit off, the train will what? Fall, derail, because it can't keep on the tracks anymore. That's parallel lines, all right? Because they have the exact same slope. So as those train tracks go, they gotta stay the exact same distance apart the whole way, because if they don't, derail. All right? Perpendicular lines. We also have perpendicular lines in the ceiling. The ones running, north-south intercept east-west lines also, which also hold up the tiles. Perpendicular lines look like this, and it's also special because they meet at a right angle. They're not just intersecting like an X, like the letter X. They intersect at a right angle. And slopes are opposite and reciprocal. We're talking about that. Flipping your fraction. Okay, upside down. So if one is 3/5, the other one is negative 5/3. So for example, 3/5, negative 5/3. Okay? One's positive, one's negative. And think about it, it makes sense. If one line is going this way, positive, if this one's intersecting at 90 degrees, it's got to be negative. Okay? So opposite and reciprocal. So 3, 5, 5, 3. Okay, write the slope-intercept form of the equation. So, it goes through 4, 2. And it has a slope, it's parallel to this line. Well, what's the slope of this line? -1. So if they are parallel, what's the slope of this line?
-1.
Very good. Now, it says write slope-intercept form. So first we put in the point slope using this point and this slope. Y minus 2 equals m times x minus 4. Now we distribute. Y minus 2 equals negative x plus 4. And our last step to get y by itself? Add 2. Negative x plus 6. Now, careful. What is the slope of this line right here? Ooh, I kind of gave it away. Negative 5/3. That's weird. I just randomly picked that before. What's the slope of this line? Very good. 3/5. They are perpendicular. It says right here perpendicular. So we're going to do the point slope form using that. So y minus -5. Whoopsie. Equals 3/5 x minus -5. So first off, this is positive, that's positive. We're going to distribute the 3/5. Y plus 5 equals 3/5 x plus. What happens with the 5's? They cancel, leaving just the 3. Or, you can say 3 times 5 is 15, divided by 5 is 3. And our last step to get y by itself is subtract 5. 3 minus 2 is -2. Now, slope from the graph. All we're doing is counting. So pick a point and count. So here, do it just like I'm doing it. Down 1, down 2, down 2, right? That's the top number. And then over 1, 2. So that's the same thing as -1. Now watch. I could have gone the other direction. Up 2, but then left 2. I would still get -1. Alright? So pick a point. Doesn't matter which one you pick. If I start down here, I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4. Up 4. Right 1, 2. But watch. If I went the other direction, 1, 2, 3, 4, down 4, left 2, negative divided by negative is still positive.